Hi, welcome to my video. My name is Kennedy Heron and I am enrolled in Quid 101. My professor is Kim Sheffer and this is my final presentation for the spring 2019 semester. Today I wanted to talk about learning styles, preferences, and how these can be utilized for academic success. So the first thing that we need to ask are what exactly are the learning styles? We can determine this by using VARK. VARK stands for Visual, Auditory, Reading and Writing, and Kinesthetic Learnings. These are all the four main learning styles that we can use to identify kind of how we learn best. So we'll start with visual learning. Visual learners usually prefer the following. I'm going to say this just out of discretion. They don't always like to read. They don't always like these things, but all of the following things. But for the most part, visual learners enjoy readings over lectures, books, magazines, notes, diagrams, maps, flashcards, charts, and pictures. Readings over lectures is the big one here. Visual learners usually like to look at what they're being taught on a piece of paper, and they are more likely to retain that information if they are seeing it, if they are reading it over and over. They're really avid readers outside of a classroom setting for the most part. Again, not everyone is like this. You can be a mix of a few different learning styles, but for the most part, visual learners enjoy to read. They really like videos when there are class presentations. They like watching the PowerPoints. They like the colors. They like the shapes. Visual learners are very unique. So that being said, here are some tips and tricks for you visual learners out there. One of the biggest things that you can do to help yourself be successful in academic learning is writing things down. That is one of the biggest things. As the more you write things down, the more you see it put out on a piece of paper, the more likely you are to remember it and study it and learn it. Another big thing is writing key notes on Post-its and sticking them around your study space. I think that is probably another very, very helpful thing. I know it might seem a little crammed and crowded in your study space from doing that, but I promise you, if you're a visual learner, you will enjoy all of the visual aids around you, helping to retain that information. Another big thing is copy what is exactly on the board. As a visual learner, everything you see on the board is going to be what you want to remember. That being said, sit in the front of the classroom. I know it's not fun. Not everybody likes to do it, but it's going to be very, very helpful in your academic success if you are sitting in the front of the classroom and you are engaged and copying exactly what is on the board. When you are taking notes as a visual learner, write lists, highlight, and underline. Those are the three biggest things when you are taking notes. Use colors, color code your notes, take it into sections, make pretty borders. It doesn't matter, but underline, highlight, and make lists. That is the easiest way for a visual learner to retain information, is using colors, shapes, and different methods. If videos are available, that is another big help. If you're learning about a subject where you can watch a video on it, I highly suggest it. Also, visual learners will use mind maps to summarize large amounts of information. If you are like that, if you like to make mind maps, put it on a piece of paper as a visual learner. Put it on that paper and just stare at it and watch it and memorize it. Cover up a few parts of it at once and then memorize what's under your hand. Things like that will really help a visual learner to be able to thrive in an academic atmosphere. Auditory learners. The big three things with auditory learning is, one, they prefer lectures to long readings. So the exact opposite of a visual learner. They don't like to read or look at what they're being told. They just like to listen. They like to be talked to. That being said, they follow verbal directions very, very well. You can tell them to draw something just by telling them what shapes and where they go, and they are able to do that very, very well. Another thing is they thrive during in-class discussions and participations. They really like to listen to other people. They really like to voice their opinion as well. They're easy to talk to, which is great. They're awesome for study groups. So some characteristics of an auditory learner is that they're good at explaining ideas aloud. They're really good at communicating how they're feeling, and they love to listen. They love to hear you. They love to hear your point of view. They can understand changes in tone of voice very well. That can be very helpful. It can also be a little bit harmful. They might take things to heart if it's not genuine. If your voice changes a little bit, they might take that as something that it's not. So just be aware of that. They prefer oral reports and class presentations. So when someone is up in front of the class presenting and there's a PowerPoint behind them, they don't pay attention to the PowerPoint as much as they pay attention to the words coming out of the presenter's mouth, which again is the opposite of a visual learner who will utilize the presentation and its visual aid. Again, like I said before, they are very effective members of study groups. They're really good at storytelling, and they talk aloud to work through problems, which can be very helpful in the communication sense. So some tips for academic success: utilize those study groups, utilize those study buddies, and try to find another auditory learner to study with and to make that atmosphere helpful to your academic success. Know that auditory learners studying together is probably one of the most powerful duos that can happen in an academic atmosphere. Another big thing is recording lectures or record yourself reading key terms and definitions aloud. So recording things that you've heard before and listening to them over and over again can be a very, very powerful study tool. Another thing, sit in the front of the classroom. Again, I know not everybody likes that, but as an auditory learner, to be able to hear everything that your professor is communicating to you, being able to communicate back is a large amount of the success that you will have. The more that you put in, the more effort that you put in to sit in front of the classroom and listen, the more successful you will be. Another thing is repeating facts with eyes closed. That kind of goes along with recording yourself. Just do what you need to do to make sure that you are retaining the information the best way possible. Also, reading assignments aloud. If you get stuck, one of your strengths, again, is talking aloud and working through problems. So read assignments out loud, try to work through them out loud, and try to listen to what other people are telling you so that you can successfully communicate what you're struggling with. Read them out loud and try to talk through them. So on to reading and writing learners. Their strengths include reading in their free time, much like visual learners, and they also remember information that they read and write. They usually have very detailed notes, and they're better at writing than most, and they actually prefer writing over talking, which is kind of hard to find. But some tips and tricks for reading and writing learners is to take notes during class. One of those big things that falls under taking notes during class is translating visual aids into actual words. So if you are looking at a video or a presentation, try to write what you're seeing, write those things down and go over them, reread and rewrite your notes, reread and rewrite the notes that you've translated from visual aids, and make a lot of lists. These will all help you when you are trying to retain information. Like I said, they like to read in free time. Not everybody is the same, but for the most part, reading and writing learners like to read in their free time. So as a reading learner, I would suggest reading in your free time, continuing to develop that skill so that you can be successful. Another big thing is handouts. Ask for handouts and read along if you are being shown a video or something like that, so that you can take notes in the margins of the handouts. You're reading along and you're writing as well, which obviously are some of your strengths as a reading and writing learner. So just take advantage of those things if it's available to you. So kinesthetic learners. Kinesthetic learners really like real life examples. They don't like hypothetical things. They like real life. Their strengths are movement. They're energetic, usually have very good hand-eye coordination. Their motor memory is insane, so they can learn very, very quickly. After doing it one time, they're able to repeat it and learn it, and they are great experimenters. So that being said, as a kinesthetic learner, try your best to take action-based classes. that is going to be one of your biggest strengths. So things like PE, fly fishing. I know my school offered like welding and things like that. Things that you can use your hands and you can incorporate that movement is awesome. So if you have the opportunity, take action-based classes. Also, we know that not every class is action-based. Things like history and science usually aren't very action-based. It's mostly just listening to lectures. So try to find a compatible teacher. That is a big one. Find a compatible teacher that understands your learning style, that understands that you need to move, that you might need to get up and take a break and use your space. Just make sure that you know that you communicate to your teachers, your professors, that you are a kinesthetic learner and you need to utilize your strengths in order to be successful in your academics. Another big thing is mapping for kinesthetic learners. So for example, if they are telling a story, it might be helpful to write different things, different scenarios of the story on pieces of paper, map them all along the floor, spread them out, and then literally walk through them and read them and take yourself through that process. That being said, using space also very helps. Make sure that you're using objects and materials that are available to you. If you need to see something, then make it. I know it's crazy and it's hard, but if you need to visualize something, physically make it, touch it, feel it, move with it. It will help you learn. Another thing, frequent breaks are a big thing. Kinesthetic learners have a hard time focusing for long periods of time. So if you're a kinesthetic learner, it's okay to get up. It's okay to stretch. Just give yourself some time or partner with another learner who is also kinesthetic. Go do something active and then come back to it and sit down and get her done. So application. The big thing with application is that everybody is unique. So use the skills and the styles that work for you. That being said, it might be a mixture of every single learning style, and you take bits and pieces of it and you combine them to make your own style that works for you. It doesn't matter if you're 100% visual or 50 visual and 50 kinesthetic. No matter what, just use the skills and styles that work for you. So students will get out a piece of paper and a pen. And so what you're going to do is you're going to write down your learning preference, what you think that how you like to learn, how you enjoy learning. And then you're going to write down 3 ways that you can utilize the study materials or the things that I have mentioned earlier that match your learning preference. Also answer the following question. What are the 4 types of learning styles? And then with each of those learning styles, write down 1 technique that can be utilized for helping the styles succeed academically. This is helpful to know in a study group. If you are studying with other learners that might not be the same as you, you can utilize these and be able to help them further understand. Another thing I want to point out is this link right here. It is the VART questionnaire, which can literally tell you exactly what kind of learner you are, your learning preference. So if you would like to follow that link, there it is right here at the bottom. You can type that in and find out exactly what kind of learner you are. Preferences obviously might be different than how you take the test, but for the most part, I think we all know ourselves pretty well. So when taking this test, it's fine if you don't have the exact answer from the questionnaire of what your learning preference is. Just take what you think is best for you and use that one. All right, well, I just want to say thank you for watching my presentation on learning and learning styles. And I just want to say one last time, academic success is so important. And I just want everybody to utilize the skills that they have and their strengths and their learning preferences to be academically successful. Thanks again for watching my video.